Hello. My name is Maddie, and today I'm going to be doing a little book haul. The reason I say little is because it's a lot smaller than my last one. It's for a shorter amount of time, but it's also just a lot smaller. So hopefully it won't be 30 minutes the way the last one was. But we'll see, because you know how I get when I start talking about books. Quick disclaimer, I'm sorry if the lighting changes a little bit. Today isn't the most steady day when it comes to lighting, so but it was kind of light, and that doesn't actually happen a lot here, so I'm gonna take what I can get. Okay, first book I want to talk about is Let's Talk About Love by Kann. Yes, I did it right. This book follows the main character Alice, so she had her whole summer planned out. Her girlfriend broke up with her after Alice confessed that she was asexual. After that, Alice is like, okay, I think I'm done, I'm just gonna have a fun summer, it's totally fine. But obviously this isn't a fantasy, so it's a rom-com, which means that that's not gonna go according to plan. And she's going to start falling for someone else. I was really excited about this book because I realized, I think I've talked about this before, but I've read exactly one book with an ace main character. Ace equals asexual. And that's... Haha, I just got that. Sorry, right here there's a little tagline that says Alice is about to ace this whole dating thing. Wow, a mood. Well, I guess I wanted to read this book because I was really excited to see another ace main character, to see that more talked about, especially because in the other books that I read it was sort of like a subplot. It was oh yeah, the main character is ace, but it's not really a big deal. Whereas in this book it's that's sort of the main focus, because it's a relationship book and asexuality can help define a relationship. So I was really excited to pick up this book, and I cannot wait to read it. Hopefully soon. It might be the next book I pick up. We'll see. The next book I want to talk about is Orphan Monster Spy by Matt Killeen. Killeen? I'm not sure how to say this name. I think it's Killeen. I'm not sure. And as far as I know, this book is about a girl living in Nazi Germany in World War II, and she basically is an orphan, a monster, and a spy. Because I believe she's Jewish? Yeah, she's Jewish, and she is going to an elite Nazi boarding school, and she sort of has to spy. She's spying on them for someone else, but she's also trying to hide, exactly who she is. I sort of picked this book up on a whim. I've seen it around. I feel like it came out... Yeah, it came out last year or the year before, so it's been around a little bit, but it's always intrigued me, and I've just never picked it up. And then I saw it at the bookstore, and I had a gift card that said bookstore, and I was like, why the heck not? We're gonna get it. So the next time I'm in the mood for a World War II story, definitely gonna be picking this one up. The next book that I bought, that I'm probably going to rave endlessly about because I love it so much, is Heartstopper by Oseman. I love this book so much. This book series, because it's a series of graphic novels, is my entire life. It only takes you, an hour and a half to read this, depending on how quickly you read, because it's a graphic novel, so pictures. But what's really cool is that Oseman is the illustrator and the author, so she wrote the original story, and she was the one who designed all the characters, which is really cool to me, because I feel like that doesn't happen a lot with graphic novels. You either have the talent with the writing or the talent with the drawing, and then Oseman is just a superhuman and has both. And because she has, just because she has both doesn't deter from either characteristic. So she has really great writing in this style, and a beautiful style of graphic novel, or of drawing, I guess. Yeah, I love her art style. It's so cute. And it's making me really intrigued to pick up other books, because I've been looking to pick up Radio Silence by Oseman for a while now, because I wanted to read it before I came to college, but here I am, still haven't read it. What was that? Anyway, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to read it now. And then I found out that another one of her books, Solitaire, revolves around one of the main characters in this book, Charlie's older sister, and these guys are sort of introduced, not introduced, they're talked about in that book, and I was any more of Charlie and Nick that I can get, I'm in. I just realized I didn't just summarize this book for you. Sorry. This book is about a gay boy named Charlie who is completely out to his school after some sort of mystery, like we don't really know what it is. We know that he's now out public, everyone at his school knows. Oh, I think I remember. He told a couple of people, and those couple of people told another couple of people, and then the entire school knew, and he got bullied for it for a while. But now he's in year 10, he's sort of become accepted, and like, wow, lighting. He's become accepted, and you know, he's just sort of one of the guys, and then he and Nick are placed in the same form group, and Nick is a year older, and they become friends really, really quickly, and they play rugby together, they hang out all the time, and Charlie starts to develop feelings for Nick, but Charlie doesn't know whether Nick would reciprocate his feelings, however that may go. It's absolutely adorable. I'm gonna talk about the sequel because I bought the sequel too, obviously. And that one is just as adorable. And I haven't pre-ordered the 3rd volume yet, but I have a feeling it's going to happen because I need the 3rd volume like now. The next book that I bought was The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. And as far as I know, this is part of the Mistborn series, and apparently it's book 1, but I thought there was a different book that was book 1, so I'm a little confused, and if any of you know how this Mistborn series works, please tell me, because I am a clueless noob. But as you guys know, I read Skyward back in July, and I'm currently reading The Way of Kings, also by Brandon Sanderson, so I've been trying to like get more into Brandon Sanderson. Hence the reason I bought this book, because also this cover is beautiful. Sometimes when I see UK covers, I'm like, go back to the US one. But when I saw this one, I was like, no, this is beautiful, I must have it. So I bought it. I don't really know what this is about, because I don't want to know, because it's Brandon Sanderson, and I know I'm probably going to love it, because it's a beautiful, super fat fantasy book, although not as fat as the one I'm currently reading. Yeah, I really hope that this is the first one, because I want to read it soon. Okay. Let's keep going. I believe the next book that I bought, that I talked about in my September wrap-up, so if you want to watch that, I'll leave a link in the description. The next book I want to talk about is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I read this book as a buddy read with Callie over at Callie the Book Lover, and we both really, really loved it. I think she's picking up Godsgrave right now, and I do plan to pick up Godsgrave sometime soon. I don't know exactly when yet, but definitely sometime soon. I gotta say, this book is intense. Like, don't go into this book just be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a fun fantasy. Like, no. It's about assassins killing people. Nice try, though. And it's like, it's also a mystery a little bit, because it's like you don't really... It's a mystery in the sense like you really don't know who to trust in almost any situation. But it's still really, really good, and like, it's just, there's like something about it that just like hooks literally everyone that I've heard read it. I haven't, maybe that's just, you know, the people I've been talking to, but I haven't heard like bad reviews about this book, because it's so gripping and amazing, and I can't wait to read Godsgrave and then eventually Dark Dawn, because I know that those books make other people cry. I'm not usually a book crier, but like, we'll see. This book is about a girl named Nia who is going to try to get into assassin school. She's going on like a trip to try to get into assassin school. She learned how to be an assassin for the Red Church. And she has a cat named Mr. Kindly, and she makes friends. And that makes it sound really cute, but it's not. It's like full of blood and guts and stuff, but like it's really amazing too. The next book that I bought, one of my pre-orders, is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. I didn't pre-order this. Actually, I did. I thought that it was going to come out the same day in the UK as it did in the US, but it turns out I was wrong. It came out a week later, which was not great, because I went to the bookstore and I was like, where, do you not have this book? And they were like, it doesn't come out till next week. And I was like, I'm dumb. Anyway, I wish I could hold up the first book, but I don't have it right now. But Wayward Son is about these two characters, Simon and Baz, who have graduated, I believe they've graduated now from magic school, and they're going on a road trip in the US. That's all I know about it, and just like I said with The Final Empire, that's all I want to know. Don't tell me anything about this, please no spoilers, but also, like, I just want to go into this book not really knowing anything, because that's sort of how I went to Carry On, and it was so much more of an immersive experience in that way. I cannot wait to start this book and re-immerse myself in the world. And there's going to be a third book. And I found out that all the titles do allude to songs. And so I think I talked about this last time I talked about Carry On in my Books I Brought to College with Me video. But it's like Carry On, and then Wayward Son, and then there's Any Way the Wind Blows, which sort of refers to 3 different songs. The first one is supposed to refer to Bohemian Rhapsody. And then this book refers to the song, I don't even know what it's called. Carry on my way, you know that one? The one that you think of, Carry On, Wayward Son, you know. And then Any Way the Wind Blows could also be a reference to Bohemian Rhapsody, but I can't remember off the top of my head which song it actually refers to. Rainbow Rowell did like a whole article with someone, and I'll see if I can find it and link it so that you guys can read it, because she talks more about it. But it was super interesting, like the way that the titles like made a songs, which was cool. And I can't wait to read this book, just like with every single book. Next, I got What's a Girl Gotta Do by Holly Bourne. And I bought this just sort of like, oh look, the tagline is Feminism, Friendship, and Fallouts. Sounds like something I would love, not realizing that it's the 3rd book in a series. So I'm not going to read this anytime soon. But I did go to a Holly Bourne's talk in Bath, and I did get this book signed, which was pretty cool. Even though I always feel like a fake fan when I go to events that I haven't read the book, like the person's book for, because I'm like, they're gonna find out that I've never read anything by them. But like, they don't care, they just like, I'm talking about this book, so like, publicity. But that's not, they don't care whether or not you've read the book, really. They want you to read it, but like, the interest in books is enough. But this book series sounds really interesting because it's all about girls sort of going on a feminist tirade or something like that at their school. That's all I needed to know, because now I'm completely hooked. I'm not going to describe this book because I haven't read a synopsis, because once I found out it was a 3rd book, I was like, oh no, let's just like keep it away so that I don't like accidentally spoil myself for the first 2 books, because it does sound really intriguing and I'm really excited to read it. And I found out that Holly Bourne is a British author, so she doesn't have books out in the US. So like, you could probably go on like Book Depository and find them, but you can't find them in the US, which is like a little weird, but also like, I get it because publishing works that way. Whatever. Okay, next is the book that I just most recently finished, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book has been everywhere because it was such a hyped up book, and then there have been a couple mixed reviews that I've read. I tried not to let those affect me, and I don't think they did, because I read this and I loved it. I haven't read a lot of like mysteries. Like, I talked about Nevernight being a little bit of a mystery, but not like that. Like, I haven't read a lot of books in general that have been centered around a mystery, especially like a murder mystery, the way this one is. And I was a little bit worried because I love Leigh Bardugo. I love her Grisha trilogy, and then, well, all of her Grishaverse books, but the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then the Six of Crows duology. But those are all set in one world, and I had never read anything of hers that was not fantasy. Well, this is a little fantasy. This is more like urban fantasy, whereas that was like a hardcore fantasy. So this book was really exciting, and a little bit nerve-wracking, but really exciting. And I talked about this a little bit on my Instagram, but basically the beginning was a little slow for me, just because it didn't feel like a lot was happening. It didn't feel like everything was connecting. And then I realized yesterday when I read like the last this much of the book right here that I was super invested and I needed to read it really fast, which is why I read 170 pages in one, I mean, that's not that big, but like 170 pages of this book in one day, while alternately watching The Big Bang Theory. I need to describe what this book is about. Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, this book is about a girl named Alex, and for most of her life she's had a bit of a drug problem, a drug abuse problem, and then some mysterious event happens and she's in this house with a bunch of people and they all die except for her. So she wakes up in a hospital and she's been given an opportunity to go to Yale and to be a part of one of Yale's secret societies and sort of help them keep tabs on the other secret societies. So she goes because she's like, what do I have to lose at this point? And she has to like, she sort of builds herself a new life. She doesn't tell a lot of people about her previous drug abuse problem and other various things. And then someone gets murdered and she has to figure it out. Yeah, I'll talk more about this in my wrap-up. I did talk about it quite a bit, but I have a couple more things I want to say, and I'll talk about that in my wrap-up. But this book is really good, and if you feel like you're in the right headspace, because I do realize that this book has a lot of trigger warnings, so if you're in the right headspace to read this book, I definitely recommend it, but please don't try to read it if rape, abuse, murder, if any of those things trigger you at all, because that's something that a lot of people have been talking about, and I think it's really definitely a problem that needs to be addressed, but I mean, I can be the start of that, so don't read this book if those things trigger you or if you don't feel like you're in the right headspace at all, because I realized reading this book that, yeah, if you were in the wrong headspace, this would be a really hard book to read. So be in the right headspace, but when you are, please read it, because it is really amazing. Okay, we're almost done, I promise. The next book I want to talk about is Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. And I gotta say, I did love this one more than the first one. Like, as you saw, I loved the first one. But I liked this one even more. I don't know what it was about it, but I liked this one even more. This one is hard to describe because it's just a continuation of the first book, so it's like, it basically picks up exactly where the first book left off and continues from there. And it's adorable and beautiful and fun, and it talks about some really important things about like sexuality and stuff, and it just makes me really, really happy. And you should read it. If I talk much more about this book, I'm probably gonna cry, so that's all I have to say. The last book that I've bought for now, we'll see how long that lasts, was Godsgrave by Jay Kristoff. And like I said, I just read Nevernight last month, or I finished it this month, but mostly last month. And so I like almost immediately went out and bought Godsgrave, so I was like, I need to read Godsgrave, obviously. And it wasn't like a huge cliffhanger, the ending of Nevernight, but that doesn't mean I didn't need to read Godsgrave, because like it's a second book, that's all I need to know. And this look at this cover. Like, some people like the US covers more than UK covers, but I'm like, what are you talking about? This is gloriousness. And the hardcovers are even prettier. Like, I don't know what this book is about. Common theme. Okay, I don't know what this book is about because I know that I'm gonna love it because I love Nevernight. And I don't want to read a synopsis. It'll probably just pick up about where Nevernight left off with the same characters. Hopefully not the same plot, but I guess we'll see. And I'm really, really excited to read it. I think it's gonna be really fun. That's it. That's my short-ish book haul. I know I talked for a while, but like, it was short-ish. It was short. Don't at me. If you guys have read any of the books that I talked about that I haven't read, please let me know. Please let me know what you thought. If any of you read Ninth House, like, let me know, because I want to hear some other thoughts. And yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!